Good morning. We'll give folks a moment to enter from the waiting room and connect to audio. As a reminder, when you are entering from the waiting room, please do remain on mute unless or until you are appearing or testifying before the board. Give just another moment to make sure folks have entered and have connected to audio and can hear us. Good morning. This is a hearing before the licensing board for the city of Boston. Today is Tuesday, July 18th, 2023. Today's hearing is being held pursuant to temporary amendments to the open meeting law. That is what allows us to meet virtually. Today's hearing is being recorded and will be posted to the City of Boston's website. Before I review procedural matters, I will introduce Chairwoman of the Board, Kathleen Joyce.
Good morning. My name is Kathleen Joyce. I'm Chair of the Boston Licensing Board, and today I'm joined by Commissioner Liam Curran and Commissioner Kiana Saxon.
Thank you. Please ensure that your audio and visuals are working properly. I will call each item in the order that it appears on this morning's agenda. I will then ask who is present on behalf of the licensee, who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department, and whether there are any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident. I will then swear in all parties. After that, the police report will be read into the record, and the licensee or their representative will have the opportunity to make a brief statement, followed by questions by the chair and commissioners. Again, all testimony will be limited only to those individuals with firsthand personal knowledge of the alleged incident. Begin with the first item on this morning's agenda, calling item number 1, McBoys Limited, doing business as Franklin Cafe, located at 278 Shawmut Ave in Roxbury. Date of the incident, November 5th, 2022. Assault and battery, patron on patron, in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 13A. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
David Dubois, I'm the owner.
And I'm Kelly Sprouse, the Director of Operations.
Great, thank you. And Mr. Dubois, is it possible to turn your camera on?
Yeah, I'm trying to do that now.
Oh.
I got it.
We can see you now. Great, thank you very much.
Sorry.
And who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Detective.
Sorry, one more once again.
Detective Fencer.
Detective Fencer, thank you.
And Officer Hassan.
And Officer Hassan. Thank you both. And are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify this morning? Can you all please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
I do.
Thank you. Who will be reading the police report into the record?
Officer Hassan, I'm going to read the report.
Great, thank you. You may please proceed.
About 12:30 a.m. on Saturday, 11/5/2022, Officer Hassan and Allen, while assigned as the Delta 105 Alpha Unit, responded to a radio call for assault and battery in progress at 278 Shawmut Ave, Boston, Franklin Cafe. Upon arrival, officers spoke with the caller/victim, who was later identified as Joshua Liske, DOB 11/16/1976, who stated to the officer that an unknown suspect assaulted him while he was inside the above business. The victim stated he was standing inside the bar when the unidentified suspect pulled him from his hand into a booth and said, quote, "Get the fuck out of here before I kill you," quote. At this time, the victim called 911. The victim refused the need for EMS. Officer spoke with the manager of the above business, identified as Evan Stockstill, DOB 5/26/1989, who stated to the officer that they had the unknown suspect leave the business after the assault. While officers were on scene, officers will advise that the bartender, Doug, might know the suspect. The suspect's possible names are James and Haley. Officers did observe surveillance cameras at the above location. Officers were given the following description of the suspect. a tall white male wearing a brown jacket, accompanied by a female described as a white female with a small build, unknown clothing. Both individuals fled on foot on Shaman Ave inbound towards Union Park. Description of the suspect was broadcasted on Channel 5. The officer searched the surrounding area to no avail. Sergeant Sullivan notified due to high priority calls, a code 35 will be conducted at a later time.
Thank you, Officer Hassan. And we have a supplemental as well.
Yes, sir. This is Detective Fencer, reading supplemental. Upon further investigation into this incident on 11/5/2022, Detective Fencer in the Delta 801, along with Detective Texera in the Delta 820, responded to the Franklin Cafe located at 278 Shelmet Ave for a licensed premise violation. On arrival, Detective Fencer spoke with the manager, Yvonne Stogsdill, who made similar statements to the ones in the original report. He also stated that there was no video footage of the incident due to the fact that there were no cameras inside of the restaurant. Detective Fencer issued Franklin Cafe license premise inspection notice 026479 for assault and battery patron on patron.
Thank you very much. Mr. Dubois, Mr. Sprouse, would you like to address the alleged incident?
Yeah, I'm happy to. The person who called the police, Josh, is a regular, comes in all the time, lives in the neighborhood, has been coming in since 2003. The couple that was at the booth had sort of embroiled him in some sort of internal thing that was going on. I spoke to Josh about it, the customer, and he indicated that the gentleman, the female involved, the girlfriend, had been discussing with him, had talked to him when the gentleman got up, was to get something at the bar, was talking to Josh's husband. And what effectively happened was the girlfriend had pulled Josh aside and indicated to him that she was afraid of her boyfriend or something to that effect. So that, and then she went back to the booth afterwards when they were both there and indicated to the boyfriend, her boyfriend, that Josh had been saying something about him. And so it seems like a very odd situation. And our manager at the time, he no longer works for us, but he basically removed that. He told him he had to leave once Josh indicated that that customer had put his hand on his arm. So what Josh told me was that he had grabbed his arm and tried to pull him towards the booth. And so I'm not really sure what happened, but what Josh indicated was that he called the police because he felt like the guy had threatened him and put his hand on his arm. We removed him from the premises, so.
Thank you, Mr. Dubois. Mr. Sprouse, anything further you'd like to add before we return to the board for questions?
No, sir, that's what happened. Yeah.
Great, thank you. We'll see if there are any questions from the board, starting with Chairwoman Joyce.
You stated that the victim was a regular and known to staff. Was the suspect known to staff?
I think he's somebody that had been in before. Indicated in the police report, it said that the bartender is also an assistant manager at times as well. Doug had said he knew their names. I don't think they were regulars in the sense that Josh was, who's somebody who's literally been coming in for 20 years.
Okay. And did the bartender help the police here?
Yeah, yes.
Has the suspect been back?
He came back one time and he was told he couldn't come in anymore. He's been banned from the bar.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Curran or Commissioner Saxon, do you have any questions?
When he came back, were you able to identify him when he came back?
Say that again, please.
Were you able to identify the suspect when he came back?
It just so happened that when he came back in, Doug was also behind the bar, and he recognized him, and he indicated that he is no longer welcome in this bar. Do not come in again. And he left, and he hasn't been back since. So,
But do we know his identity?
other than what was in the police report in terms of, I think he gave him that name. No, my guess is he lives in the neighborhood though.
Okay, thank you.
Nothing from me, thank you.
Thank you. The board will take this matter under advisement. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Calling item number 2, 1222 LLC located at 1222 Washington Street in Roxbury, dated the incident March 7th, 2023. Assault and battery, employee on employee in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 13A. Who is present on behalf of the licensee? Is anybody present on behalf of 1222 LLC? We will take a second call. Calling item number 3, Boston Ballroom Corporation doing business as Royale located at 279 Tremont Street. Date of the incident, December 15th, 2022, assault and battery, patron on patron in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 13A. Who is present on behalf of the licensee? This was noticed and signed for. Is anybody present on behalf of Royale? We will take a second call and attempt to contact the licensee as well. Calling item number 4, 150 Canal Street Inc. located at 150 Canal Street, dated the incident March 18th, 2023. Assault and battery, patron on patron in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 13A. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Good morning, excuse me. Good morning, Attorney Green, Madam Chair, members of the board. Dennis Quilty, attorney representing the licensee. With me is Nolan Hamilton, who's an assistant manager on duty on the night in question. Good morning. Sorry for the cough here.
Great morning, thank you. And who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Detective John McDonald.
Thank you. And are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who would like to testify this morning? Can you please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Detective McDonald, if you could please proceed with reading the police report into the record.
On March 18th, 2023, Officer Merrick's in the Alpha 422 Alpha responded to 150 Canal Street in front of Hurricane O'Reilly's for a person unconscious. Upon arrival, Officer Merrick's observed BFD administering medical aid on a male laying on the ground. Officer also observed that the male was semi-alert. Officer spoke to the security guard from bar Hurricane O'Reilly's that was assisting BFD. He stated that the male on the ground, Brendan Quinn, was in a verbal argument with an unknown male. The victim then took a swing at the unknown male, but did not hitting him. Then the unknown male took a swing at the victim, hitting him in the face and knocking him to the ground unconscious. Witness then said that the known male ran up Canal Street. The victim was transported to Mass General Hospital by EMS. Officer did observe that the victim was alert. The Alpha 81 did conduct the code 35 to Hurricane O'Reilly's. At about 1:30 a.m., Lieutenant Detective Demesman, as the Alpha 81, did issue license premise violation 760 to Hurricane O'Reilly's. Such violations stem from an intoxicated patron being knocked unconscious by another patron. Violation is assault and battery, patron on patron, issued without incident. For my investigation, the staff did cooperate, providing video of the incident, and it did show that the person who was unconscious actually never entered the establishment. There was a crowd gathered around due to the fact that it was St. Patrick's Day, and I think they had a verbal, according to the video, they had a verbal argument just by passing by, which then stemmed from the assault and battery. So I just wanted to put that into the record.
Thank you very much for that. Attorney Quilty, would you like to address the alleged incident?
Thank you, sir. If I may, it was Mr. Hamilton who was with us this morning who signed for the inspection notice,
Yes, sir.
and he cooperated with you fully.
Correct.
Okay. And did he indicate to you at one point, he had actually gone looking for help from potential BPD detail officers at the garden and in other establishments?
I did not know of that. No.
Okay, but he was there and he cooperated with you fully.
Oh, absolutely. Multiple times.
Thank you, sir. I have no further questions. Again, Mr. Hamilton's here if you'd like to question him. What the detective suggested is exactly what occurred outside. There is video available, and we'd be happy to provide that to the board.
That's absolutely correct. Thank you.
Thank you for that. We'll see if there are any questions from the board. Chairwoman Joyce, any questions?
I have no questions, but Attorney Quilty, if you could forward the video to the board, that would be helpful.
Yes, ma'am.
No questions for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Saxon.
None for me either. Thank you.
Great, thank you
And
very
Nolan,
much.
can you forward that video to me, please?
Absolutely.
And I'll send it along. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll make
Thank
sure
you.
that is shared with the commissioners, and with that, the board will take this matter under advisement. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Calling item number 5, Anfrata LLC, doing business as Ward 8, located at 90 North Washington Street. Stated the incident January 15th, 2023, over intoxicated patron in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64. Who's present on behalf of the licensee?
Good morning, Attorney William Ferrillo, 28 State Street, along with Michael Wyatt, who is the manager on duty.
Thank you very much. Who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Officer Adolfo Paulino.
Thank you. Officer Polino, is it possible to turn your camera on so we can swear you in?
Yeah. Hold on, let me see.
Thank you. I also just asked you to start video. Something should have just popped up on your screen.
It's saying unable to. Hold on. Yeah, apparently I have to go in through my settings real quick. I'm sorry.
No worries. Thank you. In the meantime, I'll ask, are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify this morning?
Lieutenant Detective Troy, if necessary.
Thank you, Lieutenant Troy. Just another moment for the officer. Officer Polino, can you please, if it's not going to work, can you affirm for the board that you will raise your hand when asked to do so? Officer Polino, are you still with us? Great. Oh, we've re-entered the waiting room. Just one moment. Here we go. Looks like he froze out. Officer Polino, there we go. Thank you very much. All right, can all who are planning to testify please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Great, thank you very much. And Officer Polino, could you please read the police report into the record for us?
Let's see. I actually don't have the police report in front of me.
Lieutenant Detective Troy, I can read the police report.
Thank you very much.
It's a report authored by Officer Polino, and it reads as follows. At 10 a.m. on Sunday, January 15, 2022, Officer Polino and Officer Wells received a radio call for removal at 19 North Washington Street in Boston, Ward 8 restaurant. Prior to arrival, officers were informed that the suspect was described as an Asian male who was being aggressive. On arrival, Officers were informed by Ward 8 hostess that the male came in and began spitting into a bucket. Officers then met the suspect, later identified as Brandon Lee, who was found sleeping inside the restaurant. Officers were able to wake up Mr. Lee and direct him towards the vestibule, where officers requested EMS to the scene for a medical evaluation. Boston EMS arrived on scene. Mr. Lee refused medical attention and refused to leave Ward 8. Mr. Lee was informed by officers that he was not welcome inside the restaurant. Mr. Lee entered the restaurant and refused to leave, and it was at this time officers removed Mr. Lee from the premises. Lee then became very irate with the officers. Lee spat in the direction of both Officer Polino and Officer Wells. Officer Polino was struck by the spittle. At this time, Officer Lee was placed under arrest for the following: assault and battery on a police officer, trespassing. Mr. Lee was transported to District 1 for booking, and he refused to be booked. And there's a supplemental report written by author, Detective Dugal. And it reads as follows: about 6 p.m. on Monday, February 6th, Detective Dugal and McDonough, under supervision of Sergeant Salucci, conducted a code 35 at 90 North Washington Street, Ward 8 restaurant. Code 35 was a result of a 911 call for an over-intoxicated person on the premises on January 23rd. Restaurant manager Charles Hunter was on scene and accepted the written notice. That is the extent of the police report.
Thank you very much, Lieutenant Troy. Attorney Ferrullo, would you like to address the alleged incident?
Yes. This was a Sunday evening about 10 p.m. and restaurant was rather quiet, only a few guests. Two of the guests were leaving when they saw that there was an individual lying on the stoop outside, blocking the door from them exiting. One of the staff members went around to a second exit and got the individual up on his feet, allowed the two guests to leave, brought the individual in and had him sit in a chair to see if he was okay. He wasn't communicative, sat in the chair mumbling. He started spitting on the floor. So one of the other staff brought a bucket over to put in front of him to see if they could either get him conscious enough to leave, but he wouldn't. They called 911 at this point because the individual seemed as if he wasn't in control of his faculties. And they were concerned that he would either hurt himself or somebody else in the restaurant. At that time, the police did come. The individual had now gotten off the chair and was lying on the floor just inside the entryway. When the police came, once again, they asked him to identify himself and what his problem was, and he really would not say anything. And that's when he was asked to be removed. And during that time, he struggled with the police who placed him under arrest, charging him with trespass at the premises and also assault on a police officer.
Thank you. Anything further, Attorney Ferrullo, before we move to questions from the board?
Just simply, he was never in the restaurant as a guest. He never served. We tried to help him because, as we say, he was lying on the stoop directly in front of the main entrance door on a cold night in January. So we brought him in to see if we could stabilize him and find out what his problem was, and that wasn't possible.
Thank you for that. I'll turn it to the board to see if there are any questions. Chairwoman Joyce, any questions?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Commissioner Kern or Commissioner Saxon, any questions?
No questions for me. Thank you.
None for me either. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The board will take this matter under advisement.
Thank you.
Thank you. Calling item number 6, Fuente Cleaning Services, Inc., doing business as Biliares Columbia, located at 28 Bennington Street in East Boston. Dated the incident April 29th, 2023, assault and battery employee on patron in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 13A. Who's present on behalf of the licensee?
Good morning, Attorney Green, Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is Tyler Henslick from Upton Canal in Devlin, 1 Trout Water Street. In the interest of saving the board and the Boston Police Department some time before the officer reads the report into the record, I'd like to alert the board that I am here this morning to request a short continuance in this matter. I'm told my client just became aware of their required participation in this violation hearing this morning. And as such, we have not seen the allegations, so we are unprepared to defend this violation at this time.
I'm sorry, he didn't receive notice of this?
Mr. Restrepo, maybe you can explain the disconnect here, how you were alerted just this morning. Was there a disconnect between?
No. We weren't aware of this violation that we had it today.
One second, I just want to look up. So we have someone's signature, perhaps a Mary. On June
Mary, that's yes. How are you? Yes, that's she's no longer with us, and she didn't give us the paperwork, so we were not aware of it. Sorry, she's no longer in the place with us.
Okay. I'm going to ask
If
you
I may.
right now if you have video footage that you hold on to it. I'm sorry, Lieutenant Troy.
If I may, the Detective Samras is here and he issued the violation on May 1st and was signed for by Alexandria Beals at the establishment.
Hi, Lieutenant, I'm on also.
Thank you. Yes, and Chairwoman Joyce, how would you like to proceed? We're also looking, the notice of hearing was also signed for on June 19th, it looks like.
So I'm sorry, please explain to me what happened that you did not receive notice of this. How many employees do you have and when did this person stop working for you?
A month ago. She left a month ago.
Can you explain to me how and why she would not have told you about your hearing?
Que porque ella no le dijo. Porque ya de problemas personales. De rabia no me lo dio. We had a personal problems and because she was mad, she didn't give it to us. I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
I'm just trying to think what to do.
Good morning, Detective Smash. Can I add something to the conversation? We spoke that night to Mary Quintana, who's also a manager, by phone. She wasn't present, but I did speak to her that night. And it was signed by Alexandra Biles, but I did speak to her that night about the Code 35 we were doing that evening.
She is, I'm sorry.
So you spoke to her the night you served it or the night that?
Present, she wasn't on scene, and we had a manager on scene that actually signed for it, but I did speak to her on phone. It's in my my supplemental report that I spoke to her on phone while we were present, myself and Detective Williamson.
She is the one that's no longer with us.
Okay, and Alexandra Biles, who was on scene, did sign for it while we were there.
Okay, so attorney, when did, are you prepared to, you're not prepared today to present this?
Chairwoman Joyce, I haven't even seen the police report.
Okay.
Again, we were alerted this morning.
I'm requesting that you put your request in writing to continue this. I'm also requesting that the licensee preserve any and all video.
Absolutely.
He's required to have video in accordance with the safety plan he signed in 2018. So if there's, I expect video preserved. So.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Hint. So Chairwoman Joyce, you are allowing the continuance for item number 6.
Yeah, so this will be continued until August. And there'll be no exceptions, this violation and the other one will be heard in August. And there'll be no further continuances.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Attorney Hensler, are you requesting a continuance for item 7 as well, or are you prepared to present on item number 7?
Again, we request the board grant a short continuance on item number 7 for the same reasons stated for item number 6. I have not seen the police report and not prepared to defend that violation.
Thank you, Chairman Joyce. Allowing a continuance as well. Thank you. Attorney Hensler, please send communication to the board requesting the continuance officially for these 2 items. They will be on the August violation agenda, which I believe is Tuesday, August 15th.
You'll have that later today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Item number 8, Lopera Inc. doing business as Nafara 2, located at 127 to 129 Maverick Street in East Boston. Date of the incident, March 8th, 2023, assault and battery with dangerous weapon, bottle, in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 15A. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Claudia Gallego and Oscar Guzman, who are 2 managers, are present. My name is Joseph Antoine Castro Rio. I am acting as a translator, but I'm also the alleged victim in this specific case.
Thank you. Who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Detective William Samaras, District A7 Detectives.
Thank you.
Officer Maldonado.
Officer Maldonado, thank you. Are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify this morning? Can you all please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Who will be reading the police report into the record? And once again, this is the March 8th incident.
Officer Maldonado.
Okay, thank you. You may please proceed.
About 8:51 p.m. on Wednesday, March 8, 2023, Officers Maldonado and Burns P, assigned to the Gold 101, responded to a radio call for an assault and battery in progress at 69 Paris Street, Boston. Assisting units, Officer Ashman Nazir in the Gold K1, Officer Nepomuzino Mateo in the 416. On arrival, the officer met with the victim, Joseph Antoine Castro del Rio, date of birth 6/12/87, who stated to the officers that a suspect, later identified as Cesar Gutierrez, DOB of 9/15/83, hit him with a bottle. The victim, Castro del Rio, stated that while inside 127 Maverick Street, level 2, Enfarados Billiards, the suspect Gutierrez hit him with a bottle on the head and chased him around the billiard tables until he fell down the stairs to the ground level, where he took off on foot, ran to 69 Paris Street, where he called 911. The officers requested EMS for the victim because he stated to have a pulsating feeling on his head from the impact, experiencing pain to his back and hips from the fall. Unit Alpha 7 arrived on scene and EMTs Lord and Sanabria evaluated the victim. EMTs found the victim stable in condition. The victim refused any further medical treatment. Further investigation revealed that the suspect and the victim had previous history. Apparently in 2018, the victim and the suspect incident that involved action. According to both parties, a report was filed and sought out in court. Suspect, the victim's employer, they had a discrepancy. It should be noted that according to the victim, he was openly disclosing his prior issues to the suspect aloud while they were both in the establishment. According to the suspect, to chase the victim around the bar. The suspect remained at 127 Maverick Street, level 2 in Ferralis, where police found him. Patrol Supervisor Sergeant Hernandez, Gold 910, arrived on scene. District A7 detectives were notified. Detective Samaras, Gold 837, and Detective Espino, Gold 818, arrived on scene. CCTV for the establishment revealed that the suspect charged at the victim while holding a bottle by the neck and struck the victim twice in the head before following him around the billiard tables, leading the victim to fall approximately 20 steps to the ground level. It should be noted that the victim fell down the stairs trying to avoid further contact with the suspect. The victim was not pushed. A7 detectives completed a licensed premise violation code 35, ticket number 022782, and gave it in hand to the establishment's manager, Oscar Guzman Lapera. Officer Maldonado and Sergeant Hernandez arrested the suspect. The officers transported him to District A7 for booking. The suspect was charged with the following: 265-15A, assault and battery with a dangerous weapon. Criminal complaint submitted to East Boston Court.
Thank you very much. Would the licensee like to address the alleged incident? Oh, sorry, you just put yourself on mute.
No, pues usted es el que más, el que supuestamente usted estaba aquí, usted el que sabe qué fue lo que pasó.
Mr. Guzman is inviting me to tell exactly what happened to some of the victim. The report is quite accurate. I believe that the business had nothing to do with it. There were no signs that Mr. Gutierrez was going to act violently on it. There were no signs. Basically, Mr. Gutierrez was someone who has not been a good boss to many employees. And that day, you know, he greeted me and I pretend not to have any contact with him. So, well, he greeted me, as the police report says, I did disclose information about, you know, his previous dealings with me and other people that he had cheated out of wages. I guess that the public exposure of that information made him really, really aggravated, and that resulted in the assault. Me knowing also as a previous employee of this establishment, as a regular, this establishment isn't open up in 2012. I opted to, you know, try to exit, and then I felt trying to exit to avoid, you know, further confrontation. But it does not give time to anyone to react to the incident, just because Mr. Gutierrez acted in such a short period of time. No one was expecting him to grab a bottle and come and hit me. But that is basically what happened, and but it gave no time more to the waitresses, their managers, to react to the incident.
They can't hear me.
Yeah, but they talk. Are you?
Thank you. Anything further from the licensee before we move on to questions for the board?
Algo más antes de por parte de ustedes de que haga preguntas por parte del comité.
No, no tengo, sí, porque usted ya explicó más o menos qué era lo que pasaba entre usted y César, ¿no?
Now, after you explained what was going on between Cesar and you, Mr. Gutierrez, and you.
Thank you. We'll turn to the board to see if there are any questions. Chairman Joyce, any questions?
Vamos a preguntar al comité si tienen algún tipo de preguntas para ustedes, los licenciados.
So, sir, you and the suspect both at one point worked here?
No.
Oh,
I worked with him at another establishment.
okay.
I was his employee. I was his general manager. He I don't know if he still owns a restaurant. He was co-owner of a restaurant years ago. And as his GM, there were we had a couple of incidents in which, you know, my check was short, and there were a couple of weeks in which I was not paid. So, and then the relationship went sour, and the incident was the day that the incident goes sour. I go to my office, which is located in Stoneham, down in the basement of this restaurant. The owner's called Gaetano's Restaurant, 131 Main Street in Stoneham. And Mr. Gutierrez and his brother decided to close the door and not let me out. So I had to call the police. And the police came in and let me out. And then I filed against them for stolen wages, and they settled in court. And they had to pay my stolen wages. That's the story we have with Mr. Gutierrez.
Okay, and has he returned to the licensed premise?
¿Que se ha vuelto aquí? No. No.
Okay, has he been banned?
Que si
No.
lo vetaron, diga que sí.
Sí, porque no
Yeah.
no puede estar una persona así.
He has been banned because no one, someone who behaves like that is not allowed in our establishment.
Okay. I have no further questions. Commissioner Saxon or Commissioner Curran?
No tengo más preguntas, comisionado Saxon, comisionado Green. Comisionado Curran.
I just want to be 100% clear. Mr. Gutierrez on that evening was just a patron?
Solo quiero cerciorar, el señor Gutiérrez era solamente un cliente. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Saxon, any questions?
No questions from me. Thank you.
Thank you. The board will take this matter under advisement.
El comité tendrá esto bajo consejería.
Item number 9, now calling item number 9, which concerns the same licensee, Lopera Inc., doing business as Napara 2, located at 127 to 129 Maverick Street in East Boston. Date of this incident, March 13th, 2023. Assault and battery with a dangerous weapon, bottle, patron on patron, in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 15A. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Basado en este, ¿quién está presente por parte de la licencia? Claudia Gallego, manager. Oscar Guzman, manager. Joseph Anton Castro Rio, interpreter.
Great, thank you very much. And who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Sergeant Holden, District 7.
Officer Franklin Ortiz, A7.
Thank you very much. And are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify this morning? Can you all please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Who will be reading the police report into the record?
Officer Ortiz will.
Great, thank you very much. You may please proceed.
Okay, about 12:56 a.m. on Monday, March 13th, 2023, Officers Ortiz and Ryder in the Gold 21 Alpha unit responded to a radio call for an unknown problem inside and fire a restaurant located at 127 Maverick Street, East Boston. Officer Mike Doran also responded to the scene for assistance. He used a 499 Alpha. On arrival, officers observed several intoxicated Hispanic males outside of the bar who were indicating that there was an altercation that took place inside of the bar prior to the arrival of police personnel. Officers spoke to the bar security staff members, Andres Toro, who stated that there was a fight between a male and a female couple. He stated that the female struck the male in the face with a glass bottle and fled the area with her female friends on foot down Meridian Street towards Central Square. He provided a partial description of a Hispanic female wearing a green shirt. While speaking to security, officers observed a Hispanic male exit the bar. He appeared to have a small laceration on his left eyebrow and identified himself as Ricardo Tejada. He indicated that the incident involved him and his wife, who he identified as Adriana Rojo. Mr. Tejada appeared to be under the influence of alcohol and was having trouble giving officers a detailed explanation of the altercation that transpired inside the bar area. Mr. Tejada was able to clearly state that his wife became argumentative towards him at some point, and at some point struck him in the face with a glass liquor bottle, causing a laceration to his left eyebrow. He stated that Ms. Rojo then fled the scene and was possibly en route to their residence at 427 Saratoga Street. He was advised of his 209A rights under Mass General Laws. Officers requested medical response for evaluation purposes. Boston EMS Ambulance 27 responded to the scene and transported Tejada to Mass General Hospital for further medical evaluation and/or treatment. Officers broadcasted a physical description of the suspect, Adriana Rojo, via Channel 2 and made an attempt to locate her at a residence location, 427 Saratoga Street, Apartment 2, to no avail. It should be noted that District 7 Patrol Supervisor Sergeant Mike Holden, the Gold 911, responded to the scene and made contact with the bar manager, Oscar Guzman. Sergeant Holden issued a license premise violation citation number 022783 for the following. Number 1, assault and battery deadly weapon, 2-wit bottle between patron on patron. Number 2, entertainment violation. There was a DJ on premise. And number 3, a noise violation, which was over 70 decibels. That concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Would the licensee like to address the alleged incident?
Ok, de esto ya habíamos hablado en mayo 18, que fue el mayo 18 fue como a las 2:30 de la tarde sobre esta violación.
So on Thursday, May 18, 2023, there was already a hearing about this. The noise violation and the disc jockey violation were found to be no violations. We have the document here. It is actually highlighted where it says the findings are no violations.
Correct. That is for the entertainment violation. Today, this is for the assault and battery.
Cuando empezamos a hablar, estamos hablando de la pareja, del señor y el esposo y la esposa.
Exactamente lo que quisiera hablar.
Ok, pero cuando empezamos a hablar de ellos pasaron de aquí a estas otras cuestiones.
So on May 18th, for some reason, that was not addressed. Said Oscar just wants to make sure today is to address the assault and battery issue.
Correct. Two separate agencies. The Mayor's Office of Consumer Affairs and Licensing has jurisdiction over the entertainment side, and the licensing board has jurisdiction over incidents that occur inside the licensed premise, such as an assault and battery.
Son dos jurisdicciones completamente distintas. Esta le corresponde a la ciudad de Boston, en donde la cual ella tiene jurisdicción sobre todo lo que tiene que ver con la administración,
Okay.
y eso tiene que ver con el comité de licencia.
La cuestión pasó así. Cuando el señor se paró de la mesa, fue al baño.
How it went down in my recall is the man got up and he went to the bathroom.
Cuando él estaba en el baño, ella tomó su teléfono.
When he was in the bathroom, she took his phone.
Cuando él volvió a sentarse en la silla,
when he returned back to his chair at the table,
ella vio algo en el teléfono, reaccionó y le pegó con el teléfono aquí en la cara, y con la otra mano lo tocó por acá. No fue con una botella como dice, yo tengo el video donde muestra de que no, yo se lo mandé al detective Marín, creo que es, donde muestra que ella le pega con el teléfono en la cara y con la otra mano al mismo tiempo, no sé si fue con una uña o con un anillo que tendría, lo rompió en una ceja.
So as she came back, as soon as he comes back, she hits him with his phone and face, and then with her hand. She had a ring, which is to believe what caused the small laceration that he has under his eye. I have a video, which I also gave to Officer Marin, if I recall well. And in the video, you could clearly see that there was no bottle involved, that this person hits her husband with her phone on her hand.
Thank you. Anything further from the licensee before we move to questions?
No, creo que esa parte ya está pues clara. Yo le mandé el video al detective Marín, creo que se llama Marín.
I believe the detective's name is Marín, the one I sent to the video, but I think that was clarified that there was not a bottle involved. It was the cell phone that was used.
Thank you very much. We'll now turn to the board to see if there are any questions. Chairman Joyce, any questions?
Have any of the officers had a chance to review the video?
Officer Ortiz has not.
Sergeant Holden, I have never seen any video from this incident.
Who's the detective Marín?
Lieutenant Detective Troy, I've watched the video and actually watching it right now. And I will forward it to the board.
Can you
but it would appear from the video, it's a little grainy, but it would appear that it's a telephone that's involved, or a cell phone.
El video es un poco pixelado, pero sí parece que es un teléfono con lo cual está.
Sí, le pega con un teléfono, ya lo cogió. Él se sentó y ella mismo se lanzó con el teléfono, vio algo en el teléfono y de una se le fue así.
Okay.
Mr. Guzman is just recalling exactly what we said before. She launched at him as soon as she saw that he came back from the bathroom.
I just have one question. Do you know how long this couple was at your establishment?
¿Cuánto tiempo estuvieron aquí la pareja?
Estuvo aproximadamente que una hora y algo, pienso. Yo no estoy muy seguro porque uno no está muy pendiente de. Yo vi que ellos estaban ahí pasando la chévere, esto y lo otro, pero no.
I cannot attest exactly how long they stayed, but I would say between an hour and a half to 2 hours. What you notice is when patrons on, they were having fun. Actually, they were having a great time until he came back from the bathroom after she checked his phone.
Okay, thank you very much. I have no other questions.
Commissioner Curran or Commissioner Saxon, any questions?
No questions for me. Thank you.
Thank you.
None from me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The board will take this matter under advisement, and Lieutenant Troy, if you're able to forward that video, please do, and I'll make sure it's shared with the commissioners.
I will.
Thank you. Calling item number 10, South Boston Wine and Liquor, Inc., doing business as Dorgan's Package Store located at 662 to 664 East Broadway in South Boston. Date of the incident, March 19th, 2023. Service of alcohol to persons under 21 and patrons open containers inside premise in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 34 to 34A, 41, 64 to 64A, and Board's Rule 1.08F. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is James Rutzer, and with me is the licensee, Singming Chen.
My name is Singming Chen.
Thank you. Good morning. Who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Detective William Gallagher.
Detective Eddie Hernandez if needed.
Thank you. And are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify this morning? Thank you. Can you all please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Do.
Thank you. Sergeant Detective Gallagher, if you could please proceed with the police report.
Yes, good morning. On 3/19/2023 at about 2:45 p.m. Sergeant Detective William Gallagher, Detective Eddie Hernandez, assigned to licensed premise unit under the direction of Lieutenant Detective Adrian Troy, along with Sergeant Detective McDougal, Detectives Kelly Maldonado, were assigned to monitor the bars and liquor stores during the St. Patrick's Day parade. Detectives observed two young males exit Dorgan's Liquors at 662 East Broadway, carrying bottles of hard liquor. Sergeant Detective Gallagher stopped the first young male, later identified as Cameron Partridge, 5/5/2002, and requested ID. Mr. Partridge stated he was 22 years of age and gave Sergeant Detective Gallagher a Connecticut driver's license in his name, date of birth of 5/5/2000. Sergeant Gallagher used an age verification app, which revealed that the identification to be fraudulent. Detective Hernandez requested Mr. Partridge's real information. Detectives found Mr. Partridge to be very uncooperative during their questioning of him. Finally, after some time, detectives were able to confirm Mr. Partridge's identity. The fraudulent ID was seized and will be presented at court. Mr. Partridge will be summoned to court for being a person under 21, possession of alcohol, and possession of the fraudulent ID. As detectives entered Dorgan's, they made observations of patrons leaving the premise with open containers of alcohol inside the premise. Sergeant Gallagher spoke with the manager, Sen Chen, about his observations. As a result, Sergeant Detective Gallagher issued license premise inspection notice number 027336 to Dorgan's Liquors for service of alcohol to persons under 21 years of age, patrons inside liquor store with open containers. Mr. Sen Chen signed for and accepted the notice. Those are the facts of that afternoon.
Thank you very much. Attorney Rutzer, would you like to address the alleged incident?
Yes, there's no question as to the facts. My client has owned Dorgan's Liquor for 11 years, and this was the day of the parade. He had a plan in place to accommodate sales as well as the crowds. That plan included having two people at the door, himself and his uncle, who was a regular employee, checking IDs of would-be patrons on the way in. So apparently this fellow showed what looked to be a facially valid ID. Apparently it was so good of a fake ID that it took the police using an app to determine that it wasn't a valid ID. So my clients had a plan. They were IDing people on the way in. And then apparently because of the crowd on the street and then the sort of slowdown at the door of checking IDs, there were probably occasions where patrons, after having purchased products at the store, opened them as they were making their way out the door. This was, again, an unfortunate incident because Dorgan's has an enviable history in the neighborhood. I think this would be the first alleged violation. I noticed on the docket sheet that there was in 2018, they were written up for having people standing around in front of the store. And just based on the date of that finding of the board, I suspect that was in connection with the parade back in 2018. My client, again, is a responsible retailer. He had a plan in place. It just didn't work. And that's all.
Thank you, Attorney Rutzer. We'll turn to the board to see if there are any questions. Chairwoman Joyce, any questions?
I do have a few questions. How many staff did you have working that day?
There were 4, 2 at the door and 2 behind the counter.
Did you have any sort of electronic verification system in place?
Did not. He previously had something, but apparently it wasn't very effective. And so he was just checking IDs visually at the door.
Okay. Does he understand out-of-state IDs?
Yes.
Detection by a visual identification, especially if the person appears young.
He has the book that identifies all the characteristics of identification. He just doesn't have an electronic system in place in the store.
Why is that? He's risking his entire license by not having something like that in place, especially on a parade day where, you know, it's expected. This isn't unusual or unexpected.
Madam Chair, he had a system years ago, and he reports that it didn't work well. It had the communication, it just didn't work well.
Okay, there's no protection in state law for an out-of-state ID that has been visually inspected and proven to be false. Just letting you know what the risk he's taking.
He's aware of that now, and again, this says to the board.
Okay, does he check for backup ID?
Did you hear Madam Chair's question? Did you check for any backup ID? If he showed, Madam Chair, I don't think that he showed that they checked for backup ID. If a driver's license was shown.
Okay, this is an expected busy day, an expected day. As a owner, I would think to have needing extra staff, and I would expect that in South Boston there might be people with fake IDs. So it just seems like a very big risk that he's taking.
Well, on the day of the parade, he had twice the staff on duty.
Lots of other places are able to invest in ID checkers. So it might be something he should look into.
I was actually going to ask the detective if he could, tell me what the app was that he used, because it sounds like it was pretty effective for the Boston Police, and that's a resource that would be available to a licensee, not law enforcement.
Mhm.
It's called Age ID, and it's from IntelliCheck, and it's a download on your iPhone. The ABCC also puts out a newsletter that also has several other scanners that they found to be reliable. It's not 100%, as Madam Chair stated. When you take these licenses from out of state, you take them at your own risk, but we use that, and it seems to do a pretty good job for us.
Thank you, Detective.
Thank you. Anything further, Chairwoman Joyce?
No further questions from me.
Commissioner Curran, any questions?
My question is for the licensee, if you could refresh my recollection. In the 2018 violation, did we have a discussion of staffing on parade day?
I wasn't counsel, so I have no personal recollection of that. I'm just looking at the board's docket entries. It says numerous patients standing in front of the premises and the entrance consuming. I don't think that any of the violations occurred within the building. Do you recall having a hearing in 2018 where there was any question of staffing? My client reports that he doesn't recall having that conversation with the board back in 2018.
Okay, I just, we didn't find a violation, but we noted an incident, and my feeling, I don't have a specific recollection, but with the facts of not controlling the crowd out front, I think we would have had a discussion of staffing on this day. And I have to say on today, I feel like 4 people for parade day in a store like yours, it doesn't seem adequate. I know you think it's twice your regular staffing, but you know, parade day, I think you're getting twice your regular traffic that day. So I find it very inadequate to say, oh, we had twice our staffing that day.
And again, just to refresh the board's recollection, 2 people were involved in sales, and then really 2 people were involved in, for want of a better word, security at the door.
Yeah.
Normally,
Under the facts presented, I haven't heard anything about the staff at the door, you know, intervening and these people having open containers in your store. And I think I would have heard that if you had more staffing.
well, I think that the open containers in the store occurred as a result of patrons completing their purchases and then having to slow down to get out the door as the new would-be patrons are being ID'd as they're coming in the door. There's only one, it's a single door. And I think that that's when those patrons probably opened their recent purchases.
Okay, so what were staff doing when these people opened their containers in your store?
They were busy checking the IDs at the front.
See what I'm saying about inadequate staffing?
I do now. Thank you, Commissioner Kern.
Thank you.
Commissioner Saxon, any questions?
Just to reiterate that, you know, you even if you do get the IntelliCheck scanner, that you shouldn't just rely on the scanner itself. You have to be able to do your own due diligence to make sure that the ID is valid.
Thank you. Anything further from the board? Board will take this matter under advisement. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board.
We'll take a second call. Has anybody joined from 1222 LLC, which I believe is also known as Cathedral Station? Chairman Joyce, would you like this read into the record, or shall we reach out to the licensee to reschedule?
We can reschedule.
And second call as well for item number 3, Royale. Has anybody joined from Royale? Chairman Joyce, would you like this one read into the record, or would you like to reach out to the licensee and reschedule this as well?
We can reschedule.
Items 2 and 3 will be rescheduled to the next available hearing date. And those are all of the items before the board this morning. That will adjourn this morning's hearing. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.